There is no doubt that 2023 has been a year of challenge for so many, a year of falling apart and a year of facing the depths within. The power and velocity behind the challenges has been perhaps the most surprising fact for many, as the challenges have come one after the other. It's as though there's barely time to take a breath when one challenge ends and another begins. The relentlessness has been quite profound. Yet, when we pause and step back, it becomes easier to gain a little more perspective. So, it's important we each try to reframe how we look at our lives, as this will help us to bring through more wisdom and understanding. 2024 looks set to be a year when we turn to face the bigger picture of life with more honesty and insight than ever before. Not just from a personal perspective, but also collectively and globally, perhaps even universally. As we take a big deep breath of life, it's time to reconnect to truth as we open up our hearts and souls towards living a more connected, spiritual, compassionate, and creative life. Life isn't about chasing rainbows, it's about realizing that we each are the rainbow, as this is our natural state of being. Taking this even further, it's our collective essence that makes the rainbows, so we all have our parts to play. In essence, being the rainbow reflects living consciously and wholeheartedly in each and every moment. So many of us continue to live life conditionally and place multiple constraints/demands on ourselves, which can keep us focused on the ever-shifting horizon rather than on where we are now. It's important to realize that being happy is not conditional on a long to-do list. Happiness isn't about what we do, it's about how we live. Happiness is a force that doesn't surface once we try to eradicate all unhappiness. It's a state of being that needs nurturing and nourishing in its own right. We each need to choose to cultivate happiness in order to let go of the conditions we so often place on ourselves in order to try to find joy or be happy. It's time now to reshape and redefine the nature of happiness in our lives. It's time to let go of resistance and open up our hearts and souls towards living life with passion and energy, facing the challenges, but embracing the joy at the same time. So, perhaps 2024 is more than just about knowing what we can do for ourselves, but it's also about knowing what we can do for others as well. After all, we are all interconnected, vibrant sparks of essence. The more consciously we live, the less we take for granted and the more interconnected we will become. In addition, when we live more intuitively and spiritually, we step beyond the conditions of linear time and open up to the joy of living in the present moment. We are all vibrant individuals, and it's our uniqueness that needs nurturing, as there is much to celebrate, as it allows each of us to bring a kaleidoscope of gifts and talents to the masterpiece of life, helping us to see that our attributes aren't random, but essential pieces of the universal jigsaw puzzle. As beings of infinite consciousness and infinite possibility, we each have a part to play. And although this might feel inherently unknowable and beyond understanding, intuitively it feels right. So, the more we can let go of conditional living and conditional thinking, we can open up our eyes, hearts and souls to the macrocosm and microcosm. In fact, when we're truly open, it's as though we can see, sense, feel and taste everything in a single moment, every sound, heartbeat, thought. We step beyond not being able to see the wood for the trees, to being able to see the billions and billions of atoms that make up the universe. It therefore seems important that we don't start the new year with resolutions that cement and tether us to conditional living, and instead open up our hearts and choose to live freely, vibrantly, and wholeheartedly in each and every moment. Everything is shifting and we each have a role to play in that. This isn't to say that everything will suddenly be fixed and perfect, because that's not the case. It's just a huge inner shift of awareness that brings the potential to unify in love and peace. We all have an awareness of the need to reshape and redefine ourselves and our lives, but there is no instruction manual or guidebook, so we need to find our way. When the storms get rough, it can be hard to think clearly or gain context, so it's really important to listen to our heart and soul to guide us. Even when the path ahead is dark and foreboding, it's our intuition that has the power to guide us. We just need to listen. Many of us have spent a long time trying to find equilibrium and balance in our minds, souls, and consciousness. Yet, Many have now realized that the need to fix or heal can leave us stuck in a state of lack, as there's a risk that we place conditions on being happy, constantly chasing wholeness and completion. However, life isn't about feeling less than, it's about embracing every moment, every challenge, and every imperfection. None of us are perfect, and the less we focus on the quest for completion, the more we realize we are already complete. This is a time for continued awakening and insight as we each lift up our heads to a deeper interconnection, knowing we are each an integral part of the bigger picture. This is a time to live as consciously and as vibrantly as possibly as we begin the process of stepping beyond the self-limiting beliefs and conditions we all place on our lives. There is no doubt that there will be times of joy, times of insight, times of challenge, and many more in between, and there will be times when we feel dizzy with the speed of change, but if we pause and take a deep breath, we can realign once again. When we pause, we see the bigger picture, the falling rain, the changing seasons, the ebb and flow of the tides, even the dance of the planets around the sun. We each have an infinity of consciousness and awareness within, and it's time now to set ourselves free. For now, and as always, with heartfelt intention, I wish you all kinds of wonderful. With love. Sarah Jane, Aries. Expressing your truth and listening to your intuition both look set to take center stage throughout January. You have spent so long trying to be the person you felt you ought to be, but you are beginning to see new ways to express your true essence. In fact, the more you listen to yourself, the warmer and brighter the light within you grows. This light is your soul and represents your energy, enthusiasm, and effervescence. When life gets busy, it's easy to look outside of yourself for reference and context, but your true source of wisdom is you. It seems you are nearing something of a turning point in your life, and although you have spent a great deal of time lurching from one challenge to the next, there is a sense of expansion on your path ahead as you find new ways to flourish and thrive. Despite the challenges, not only are you still standing, but your inner light is shining brightly like a lighthouse, illuminating your path ahead and highlighting your many gifts. January is a time for you to acknowledge your strength, resilience, and compassion as you start seeking out new ways to live more wholeheartedly. This is not always an easy process, particularly as you give so much to those around you, but this isn't a process about doing less for others, it is about doing more for yourself. You could argue that by default, when you do more for yourself, you will end up doing less for others, but it's not as clear-cut as this, as the more in tune with yourself you become, the more energy and light radiates from you, allowing you to do more, be more, and live more. Try not to overthink the process, feel it, become it, and let your intuition guide you towards a new way of living and being. Taurus. The theme of being yourself has taken a central role over the last few months, if not years. Whilst you have a sense of who you are, on a deeper level, things are less clear as your tendency to give so much of yourself to others can leave you wondering where you end and where others begin. As a result, you then become a kaleidoscope of thoughts, feelings, and insights from everyone around you, and this can leave you a bit confused when it comes to truly knowing what's yours and what isn't. This has been a conundrum that has thwarted you on many occasions, as the weight and burden that you carry for others is immense. Whilst you do this with grace, there are times when the weight is simply too much, and there is a need for you to shed at least some of this weight now in order to stand up straight, stretch, and take a big deep breath. It's time to explore the concept of happiness in your life, as although giving to others is a wonderful thing, when you overgive you are left depleted and out of kilter. Intuitively, you have known this for years, but it hasn't stopped you, as you have felt almost obligated to be the rock that everybody else depends upon. Well, until now. Being known as the one who gives is rewarding, but it's time now to give far more to yourself. You are not an insignificant piece of the puzzle. Your needs, wants, and dreams matter, and it's time now to change the storyline of your life. In part, stepping back from overgiving allows you to breathe, but it also allows those around you to find their own strengths. At the same time, it gives you an opportunity to work out your true priorities and to reshape and redefine your life from the inside out. Gemini. As you continue to find peace in the hodgepodge, kaleidoscope of life, there is a sense that you are beginning to listen to your heart and soul much more. There are times when you can become lost in your thoughts, overthinking, and seeking out answers to questions that don't have answers, but the more you have let go of the need to have a constantly busy mind, the more you are opening up to the concept of joy and happiness in your life. Of course, it can be hard to connect joy or happiness when you are being tossed about in the storms of life, but intuitively you have the wisdom and strength to step beyond the storms in order to find a place to rest. Sometimes, it's better to be an observer as it brings fresh perspective and insight. It's time to believe in yourself more, to trust your intuition and to realize that your life is in your hands. Intuitively you seem to connect to the storms of life a little too intensely, so it's important to find ways to better manage this, to give yourself some time to breathe and reflect. You are a creative, vibrant, and innovative soul, so why not use these gifts to enrich and enhance your life? Intuitively you know this to be true, but you often defer your own needs in order to maintain the status quo. Well, the status quo needs a gentle shake as your soul is calling you to lift up your head and your heart to reconnect and re-engage with life. There will always be storms, but evolve from them and let your light shine as brightly as possible. Cancer. Over the years you have mastered the art of treading water, keeping on through some intense and difficult times. In many ways, your focus has shifted towards keeping on and away from everything else in your life, as it has been your way to cope and manage. This is understandable. After all, you want stability and structure, reassurance, and foundations, and yet, despite this, there is a sense that you feel a deep twinge of lack as your heart and soul long for more. There is often a fine balance in life between managing the day-to-day and expanding your horizons, but it seems you are ready now to step beyond the routine and away from the same old, and towards a new way of living that feels more expansive and uplifting. Of course, there are always bills to pay and jobs to do, but it's important to acknowledge the bigger picture of life and to reconnect to your creativity once again. The restlessness within you seems to be growing in power and momentum, so try to take some time to turn towards your heart and soul in order to explore this further. January looks set to bring you an opportunity to gain some clarity when it comes to understanding why you do what you do. In addition, the more you can acknowledge and embrace your wisdom, creativity, and intuition as vital parts of your being, the more you will see new ways to bring happiness, joy, and fulfillment into your life. As the energy within your heart and soul begins to lift, try to go with the flow of this and seek out new ways to flourish and thrive. Leo. January looks set to be a month of less is more, as you start the ball rolling with an epic period of decluttering on every level of your life. You have started to feel weighed down by everything and realize just how much you can release now. Shedding the old always opens up the doorway to welcome the new, but this isn't predetermined. In fact, the more space you can create the better, as this will allow you to rest in the consciousness of possibility rather than becoming weighed down with yet more stuff. So, let go and let flow. Have the courage and wisdom to breathe into the space and to let the space breathe into you. You are on the verge of a powerful period of change, so the more you can rest, reflect and be, the more you will be able to gain clarity on your path ahead. Sometimes not doing is actually more productive than doing. Of course, you are more than ready for change, as you've been hovering between the life you once lived, the life you're living, and the life you sense you are destined to live, and this has left you feeling discombobulated and disconnected from your passion and purpose. It's time to be clear about what you truly want in life and to have the courage to carve out a new pathway in order to facilitate change. What do you truly want? Have you ever really acknowledged this? It's a state of being rather than a state of doing. It's a sense of purpose and a sense of connection, happiness, and passion. This isn't about the finer details, it's about connecting to the essence of how you want to feel. To facilitate this process, the lighter you can travel, the more clarity will surface and the more profound the shift towards a brand new way of living and being.